Hello, and welcome to the Cleveland International Film Festival Film Slam Streams Post-Film Conversation for the Treasure. My name is Eric Siler, and I am a professor of film, media arts, and communication, as well as your moderator for this conversation. We are pleased to be joined by the co-directors of the film, The Treasure. We have Néstor del Castillo and Marisa, and they are being assisted by some friends today. Well, I shouldn't say friend for Néstor. He's assisted by his daughter, Girma, who will be doing some translation for him. And Marisa is being assisted by Marcos, who will be doing some translation as well, too. So I'd like to welcome all of you to the program today. So Marisa, I'll start with you. Well, first of all, we have some Spanish language students who are probably watching. Marisa, can you say a special hello to our Spanish speaking students?
Hola, estoy muy contenta de estar con vosotros. Es un placer desde Madrid poder charlar sobre nuestra película con todos vosotros. Encantados de poder responder a vuestras preguntas.
Well, thank you for that greeting. Marcos, I imagine she said hello and welcome and thank you for joining us. Is that what she basically said?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, great. So some of my Spanish classes have paid off a little bit. So let's get right into this. Marisa, you wrote the script for this film and Néstor helped you co-direct the film. Oh, where did you get the idea from? Is this based on a true story?
Yeah, actually, the idea of all that is coming from a movement that is going on in Germany, and it is called the Forest of Peace. And there are forests where people decide to be buried after when they die. So they physically go there. They can even select a tree where they want to be buried. And they are emotionally, let's say, they have a connection with that tree even before the end of their life. And that makes them feel like coming back to nature once when they are gone. So the overall idea of that is, or for many people is, that they decide for this type of being buried, coming or going back to nature. This is the overall idea of that.
Going back to nature, that's very interesting. And I understand, Marisa, this is based on your father. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yes, Marisa's father is actually the main actor in the film, apparently. And the surprising thing is when Marisa was investigating about these forests of peace, one day, all of a sudden, even without her father knowing that she was looking into this subject, all of a sudden her father said, I want to be buried near a tree. And there is where all the idea came up that Marisa said, well, then let's go together. We want to watch out for a tree, and we will make a short movie about that.
Well, very, very good. Now, Marisa, you had some help from Néstor. Néstor, you helped out Marisa. You're not related to Marisa. How do you know Marisa? How did you get involved with this project?
Marisa y yo hemos sido compañeros de trabajo mucho tiempo.
Marisa and I have been work partners for a long time.
Y somos muy amigos.
And we're very good friends.
Y Marisa me contó esta idea que ella tenía.
Marisa told me this idea she had.
Y decidimos hacer este cortometraje juntos.
And we decided to make this short film together.
Y nos entendemos muy bien.
And we connect with each other very good.
Well, good. It came out on quite well. Néstor, how long did it take for the film to be made? How many years or months?
No, en realidad tardamos muy poco.
It took very, very short time.
Marisa me llamó, me contó la idea.
Marisa called me and told me the story.
Nos pusimos a trabajar.
We started working.
Y como es una historia real.
And as it is a real story.
Y los padres de Marisa eran muy mayores.
And Marisa's parents were very old.
Pues teníamos que rodar muy pronto.
We had to shoot very quickly.
En un mes preparamos la película.
We prepared the film in 1 month.
Y en 3 días la rodamos.
And in 3 days we shot it.
Luego la montamos. Fue todo muy rápido el proceso.
It was very quick.
I see. And how long did it take to edit the film?
Un mes o dos, ¿no?
Sí.
Creo que un mes o dos, ¿no?
About 1 month to edit everything.
All right, very, very good. Now, Marisa, on the film, I know you wrote the script. What else did you do with the film? Did you, I guess you had to talk your parents into, your dad into being in the film. What specifically else did you do in the film besides write the script?
Que lo que quería contar directamente, no, déjame, ¿por qué era importante contar
no,
eso?
¿qué más hiciste? No, déjame. Actually, well, it was not a big thing talking in to her father, as he actually volunteered to do that. However, one of the ideas that Marisa had in mind is also to dedicate this movie actually to our daughter. She wanted to let her know or explain her that in life also the end of life is important, and how it is when you have to say goodbye to people that you love. That on one side, and on the other side, of course, she wanted to honor her parents' life. Actually, her parents, they always lived with, let's say, with little money, very simple, very humble, but they managed to have a life they were was fulfilled, and even were able to transmit their way of life to other people in a sense of being satisfied with the life you have, even if from an economical standpoint, it was not very prosperous.
I see. Now, are your parents still living, Marisa?
No, mi padre falleció un año después del rodaje de la película.
Her father actually died 1 year after the movie was shot.
Y mi madre falleció en el pasado mes de junio, pero ahora están juntos en el árbol.
And her mother, she died this June, also with the difficulties of COVID and everything. But the interesting thing probably is now the very tree that you see in the movie is the very tree where both are now physically.
Oh, good. So, well, what did your parents think of the film?
Pues a mi padre le gustó muchísimo, a ellos les gustó mucho, y lo pudimos estrenar en la residencia donde ellos vivían, en la residencia de ancianos donde ellos vivían, y fue un día muy emocionante porque otros ancianos pudieron preguntar y hablar sobre su necesidad que tenían de poder elegir el lugar donde querían ser enterrados.
We're long to translate. Actually, her father liked it a lot. Both when the movie was done and also finished, they lived in a residence for old people. And we organized that the movie was shown in the residence together with all the other old people that were over there. So it was an event that
The
even
premiere,
older people could raise their hands to ask questions, you know, and it was, we got very good feedback from older people. Of course, because in the residence only older people are, but then later in some festivals also from younger people.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad you got some good feedback. Let's go back over to Néstor. Néstor, in the film, there were use of puppets. We kept seeing the shadow puppets. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why the puppets were used throughout the film?
En la peli están saliendo muñequitos.
Vale, vale. La niña que mueve esos muñequitos es también un personaje real, es la hija de Marisa.
The child who is playing with the puppets is the daughter of Marisa and Marcus.
Y es una manera de narrar la muerte vista de una forma infantil.
And it is a very good way to talk about death in a very like childish way.
Casi como si fuera un cuento.
Like if it was a fairy tale.
Para ella no es nada dramático, no era nada dramático, era un juego, era un teatro.
For her it wasn't a sad thing, it was a game, a theater.
Y a la vez es una manera muy poética de hablar sobre la muerte.
And that was also a very poetic way to talk about death.
That's good. That is true. That's a good point. Now, Néstor, while you were working on the film, what did you did the film turn out the way that you thought it would turn out? Would you do anything differently on the film?
Que cuando estabas trabajando en la película, que si todo ha salido como esperabas, que si cambiarías algo.
Sí, no cambiaría absolutamente nada de la película.
I wouldn't change anything about the film.
Me parece que lo pensamos de una manera muy sencilla.
I think we thought about it in a very simple way.
Me parece que la hicimos de una manera muy sencilla.
And we made it in a very simple way.
Y me parece que eso es lo bonito de esta película, su sencillez y su fácilmente comprensible en cualquier parte del mundo.
And I think that's the beauty of this film, that is very simple and it's easy to understand in every part of the world.
Y que por eso a la gente del mundo entero le está gustando tanto esta película.
And that's why people from all over the world are liking so much this film.
Porque es una historia sencilla y es una historia universal.
Because it's a very simple and universal story.
That it is. Marisa, I would ask you the same question about would you change anything in the film? But before you answer that question, I just want to let the students know that are watching that we are talking to the co-directors of the film, The Treasurer, Marisa Lafuente and Néstor de Castillo. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A portal. We have a few minutes left before we end our conversation. So Marisa, would you do anything differently?
Nada, absolutamente. En esto coincido con Néstor. Creo que hemos podido contar una historia muy sencilla que une 3 diferentes generaciones, una niña, un adulto y un anciano, que hablan sobre la vida y la muerte y creo que llega a todo el mundo de una forma muy sencilla ese mensaje. Por lo tanto, creo que hemos logrado emocionar y que se hable de este tema y que las familias se pregunten qué harían ellos, que las personas piensen qué podrían hacer cuando sean mayores y cómo les gustaría que les recordaran. Y yo creo que el objetivo está cumplido.
Actually, to make it short, she actually absolutely coincided with what Néstor was saying. She wouldn't do any changes to it, and it is the simple thing that convinces in that short movie.
Mm.
Oh, okay, good, very good. Now, Néstor, you look familiar. Why do you look so familiar, Néstor?
Que le suena, que porque le suena.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sorry, Nesta. Marcos, you look familiar. Why do you look so familiar, Marcos?
Why I am looking familiar, I have no idea.
Sí, te está preguntando por qué le suenas porque sales en la película.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You're referring to, I'm the one that playing the accordion in the short movie. Yeah, that's
okay. Now,
I didn't get the point.
How did you get involved with that? How did you get to be in the film? Néstor. Marcos.
Actually, I think everything turned out that Marisa was saying we could have some kind of music behind that, and she was, I think Néstor said it. We need some music, and just as a joke, Marisa said, "Oh, Marcos is playing accordion," and I played accordion, but that is 30 years ago, and I have not practiced for 30 years. So actually, we rented an accordion because I didn't even have one anymore. And I was just rehearsing a few hours before that. And then it was good for happy birthday. And that's it,
That was good. You never knew you were going to be a part of this.
No, not really.
Good. Now, let me ask you a question, Guillermo. What did you think of the film, and do you think your dad will go on a treasure hunt one day?
Well, I don't know. I think I love the film, obviously, but sometimes we've talked about this idea of the tree, and he does think he will go into a tree once he dies, but I don't really like to think about that.
Right. Okay. But good. I'm glad that you like the film. We do have one question that has come in. The question is, anyone can answer this. What does Vera think of Luis's treasure hunt? So I guess they want to know.
You mean what Vera thinks about that?
Vera, yes. Vera thinks of Luis's treasure hunt when he gives her, I guess, a kiss goodbye. I gives her a kiss and he goes to look for a spot.
I didn't get the point. You mean what Vera liked the movie or his part in the movie?
Well, Vera, I guess the question is Vera, when in the film Vera is in bed and Luis goes and tells her, I'm going for a treasure hunt. So what does she think when he says that?
Ella cuando fui con su abuelo al bosque.
Sí, Vera pensaba que se trataba de... Ella tenía muy poca información de cuál era su papel en la película.
Actually, Vera had very little information about what will the movie be about.
Sabía que íbamos a rodar una película y que tenía que ayudarnos y que íbamos a buscar un tesoro para su abuelo, pero no sabía nada más.
She knew that we were telling her that we are going to try to find a treasure in the forest. So we didn't really tell her all the details, and at the time she was also very young and she didn't really capture the whole behind that, I mean.
Sí. La idea es que ella pudiera participar y a la vez sorprenderse de lo que buscaba su abuelo con cierta autenticidad, ¿sabes?
So on one hand, the idea was that she can take part of the movie as well as part of the, let's say, something that the family did together. On the other hand, an experience and how kind of what kind of treasures you can find along through life.
I see. That answers the next question that came in. Why was it called The Treasure? So I'm glad that you answered that part. We're almost out of time. Just a couple quick questions is the poem at the end of the film, I know you told me was written by Fernando Pesos. There's a beautiful poem. Why did you decide to end the film using that poem?
Esto es Marisa la que lo tiene que...
Either one can answer.
Sí.
Terminar con este poema.
Tengo que confesar que a mí desde pequeña me generaba un problema grande pensar en el sentido de la vida y me angustiaba mucho pensar que cuando fuera viejita la vida acababa con que nos íbamos a morir.
When she was young, she was kind of afraid of what will going to happen when she will be old and coming closer to the end of life. So she was afraid of that.
Y no encontraba mucho sentido al sentido de por qué estábamos aquí. Pero este poema me ayudó a entender que nosotros formamos parte de la naturaleza y que nuestra vida tiene sentido porque en la medida en que vuelve el tiempo, vuelve la primavera, vuelven las estaciones, todo es un orden natural y todo está bien. Formamos parte de esa vida.
So the poem gave her a kind of a spirit that the idea of coming back to nature would kind of round the beginning life and the end of life and put an let's say an overall idea to the whole thing, and that it makes sense, the entire thing.
Understood.
It was probably not the best translation, but
no, but that's well understood. My final question, I guess, is for the both of you. Néstor, I'll have you answer first. What's next for the both of you? Are the two of you going to make another film together, or each of you going to do something on your own, or what's next?
Vale. Tenemos proyectos independientes cada uno, pero tenemos muchos proyectos juntos.
Each of us have independent projects, but we also have many projects together.
El más relacionado con este cortometraje es un largometraje internacional.
The one which is most related to this short film is a long international film.
Que se va a titular Ahora soy árbol.
Which is going to be called Ahora soy árbol, which means like now I'm a tree.
Y que precisamente va sobre gente de todo el mundo, de distintos países, de distintas edades, de distintas razas.
And it will tell the story about people from all over the world with different cultures, different ages, different lands.
Que tienen el ansia de enterrarse en un árbol.
Who want to be buried in a tree.
Y que están buscando ese árbol.
And they are looking for that tree.
En todo el mundo.
All over the world.
Oh, very good. I wasn't clear. Are you doing that on your own, Néstor, or are you working with Marisa on this?
No, esto es un proyecto de Marisa y mío, de los dos.
This is a project we are doing together.
Oh, great. So, Marisa, when can we expect to see this next piece?
Actually, the thing is, both were trying pretty hard to get some money raised for this project, and they started also a crowdfunding project on the internet. So far, economically, they are not in the situation to start that very soon. They would love to, but making movies is not that cheap, and it takes a lot of time and efforts, and unfortunately also money. And we are not sure when this project will turn into reality.
I hope.
Okay.
No, we hope soon.
Yes, we hope soon. Well, I thank you all very, very much for joining us today. We were joined today by the co-directors, Marisa Lafuente and Néstor del Castillo, along with their translators, Marcos, translated for Marisa, and Néstor's daughter, Guillermo, translated for her. So thank you all very, very much for joining us today. And I'll go over to you, Néstor. Marisa, since you said hello to everyone and to our Spanish-speaking students, Néstor, could you say a special goodbye to our Spanish-speaking students?
Sí, estamos muy contentos de que la tecnología nos permita comunicarnos, nosotros en España, vosotros en Estados Unidos, y podernos saludar y poderos decir gracias porque os ha gustado tanto nuestra película. Estamos muy contentos por eso.
Can you help us out, Guillermo, a little bit?
He said that he's very pleased that you all have joined us, and he's very thankful for technology to allow us to do this. We are in Spain, you are in the US, and we can communicate and tell you our story.
Well, gracias. Muchas gracias to all of you.
Muchas gracias a vosotros.
We have to thank you.
Un placer.
Well, you're quite welcome. And I'd like to thank our students for joining us today for this very important and invigorating conversation. For more information about the upcoming 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please visit clevelandfilms.org. I'm Eric Siler. Thank you.